Well over 100 million passengers every year in the US fly on a regional airline. Most people know them as cramped and uncomfortable with minimal in-flight service. But for just a little more, you can turn your regional experience into a super comfortable ride for your next hour-long hop. Today we'll be flying 2 flights, Washington National to Cleveland and back, simultaneously so we can get a well-rounded view of what the American Airlines regional first-class experience has to offer. At Reagan, we enter the stunning, newly remodeled Terminal 2. First-class passengers, even on regional flights, get priority service, so we got fast lane bag service and Group 1 boarding. We got the exact same service in Cleveland, and we found that American kept its service very consistent, whether at a hub or an outstation. When we booked, both flights were on the tiny CRJ-700, which is part of what motivated my 6'3" self to shell out for first class in the first place. But shortly after booking, one flight was swapped with an Embraer 175, a larger and more modern regional jet. This will give us a great opportunity to compare both the cabins. Both days were perfect summer days for flying. The inbound aircraft were always early, and we boarded right on time and very efficiently. Hats off to the American, PSA Airlines, Republic Airways, and airport ground staff for keeping things moving flawlessly. In both cabins, we're greeted by 9 first-class recliner seats in 3 rows of a 1-2 configuration. These seats are wide and comfy with plenty of legroom and space to relax. We found the seat to feel basically identical on both aircraft, the consistency we love to see. The seats also had a power outlet for each passenger, though its functionality was spotty. One of my favorite things about regional flights is, because they're so small, boarding is finished in like 20 minutes, and you may even get on your way earlier. That was the case for both these flights. The airports were moving very efficiently, and before you know it, it's time for takeoff. Although most of even American's mainline fleet does not have seatback IFE, they have a massively impressive selection of content you can stream to your own device. Plenty of recorded and live TV, movies, podcasts, audiobooks, music, and kids content to keep you occupied. American, like all carriers, offers free adult beverages in first class. Both flights were, funny enough, exactly 54 minutes, too short for any real in-flight service besides this. Oh, and I was missing a tray table? Nope, I'm just dumb. It was in the other armrest. Spirits were great on these flights, as we were traveling for a nice, long weekend getaway for a family wedding. As I mentioned earlier, both flights were under an hour, so before we know it, we're headed down to our destination. In Cleveland, we get an awesome view of Lake Erie and Lakefront Airport. In DC, it looks like we'll be flying the river visual approach for the first time in my life. One thing that I have found American does better than its competitors is affordable upgrades. First class was only about $100 more per person than the economy fare on these flights. Is that worth it? Well, only you can determine that. For someone my size, it made these flights so much more comfortable, and the added level of priority service made this upgrade a no-brainer. It's also worth commending American on the consistency across both flights. Regional flights are operated by regional airlines, separate legal entities whose names you may not be familiar with. The reasons are a bunch of legalese, but basically, while these companies are contracted by American and expected to maintain their service, ultimately it is not an American Airlines crew operating these flights. The flight to Cleveland was on Republic Airways, who is contracted by Delta, United, and American, and the flight back was on PSA Airlines, wholly owned by American. Both did business as the American Eagle brand, and both delivered a high level of regional service. If you didn't know any better, you would think you were on a mainline American flight. For one reason or another, I hadn't flown American since 2019 prior to these flights, but these exceeded every expectation. I can honestly say I look forward to flying them again in the near future. The priority bag services worked so well that even though we were the first off the plane, our luggage was waiting for us in the claim after both flights. That's a great way to leave a final impression, American. Well done! I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a number of pretty cool flights coming up in the late summer and fall, so be sure to drop a like and subscription so you stick around and don't miss it. Until next time.